Welcome to Pennsylvania in Focus. I'm Kristen Smith, Pennsylvania editor for the Center Square, and joining me today is the Center Square's Pennsylvania reporter, Anthony Hennin. This week, Pennsylvania's time-honored tradition of the Farm Show is going on, and that means that Pennsylvania lawmakers are taking the time to reflect on agriculture policies. 5 years ago, we enacted our own version of the Farm Bill, so this week, Governor Shapiro and many other leaders from the state legislature were on hand to talk about what is going on in the agricultural industry. So, Anthony, what did they have to say?
Yeah, so, every year, especially since the Pennsylvania Farm Bill was passed back in, 2018, I believe, there's a lot of talk about how the Farm Bill allows them to invest in a lot of crucial areas to improve the agricultural sector, et cetera, et cetera. So that generally gets a focus. But generally, I think what was interesting here was kind of when Ag Secretary Russell Redding got into, some things that's grabbing his attention, aside from, these broad themes we usually hear about. He said one that was of particular interest is farm worker housing. And this is something that we've seen, statewide in Philadelphia, in small towns and suburban areas. And now it's good to see that even with agriculture and farm workers, this is also something that's getting more attention. Because when we look at the housing supply, no matter where it is, it's not really growing enough to meet or satisfy demand. Redding said that we have a crisis in available housing generally. It's very difficult to find housing in rural communities that are supporting ag. We have to bring a voice to folks who don't have the voice. And I think this really highlights something that, something as fundamental as housing is really causing problems in just about every industry you could think of, even in rural areas, not just agriculture. It's these basic, all sorts of service sector jobs you can think of, where we've seen people complaining up in the Poconos, up in kind of non-touristy areas of rural Pennsylvania. It's very hard to find good housing or affordable housing to really meet the needs of everyone, no matter their income scale.
Have an impact on the industry at large because, as anyone could guess, agriculture is key for the state and for our exports and for bringing in money. So if we don't have enough workers to come and help on farms, what does that mean for us?
Yeah, exactly. And I think this really highlights it as well in a lot of these places, because you look at the population of Pennsylvania, especially in rural Pennsylvania, it's stagnating at best. A lot of places it's declining. So there's more and more reliance on immigrant labor coming in and filling that gap. And now not only do we have a labor shortage, we have a housing shortage. And that comes out in all industries and it ends up driving up costs for consumers.
So it seems like there was some conversation that hinted that there could be a legislative fix to this, maybe some grants or some other ways to help farmers and the state as a whole address this issue, particularly in the rural parts of the state, since what they're facing is going to be different than, say, Philadelphia or some of the more urban areas.
Yeah, I mean, when you look within the General Assembly, Republicans and Democrats both have been giving more and more attention to housing issues and to the rising cost of housing. So I wouldn't surprise me if in the next few years we start seeing either more state grants going to this sort of housing construction, maybe start to see some bills start being introduced or starting to make their way through the General Assembly. But on that one, time will tell.
Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. For Anthony Hennin, this is Kristen Smith. Please subscribe and thanks for listening.
Learn from creative experts. At Skillshare, classes are taught by industry leaders excited to share their tools, techniques, and professional journeys with you. Follow the link in our show description to join Skillshare today and get 1 month free.